We talked to you a couple weeks ago. What impressed you the most since then about your group and what they did in winter workouts and as you guys close phase one, prepare for the spring?
Yeah, so we got some really good work in since the last time we spoke. Again, just closing out phase one in terms of our winter programming. And I've just been really pleased with the approach and with the mindset and the execution of getting done what we're looking for. The work ethic, I mean, it's tangible. You can see it, you can feel it. And just even though we had a spring break this past week, and it's been 2 weeks since we've seen you guys, we've been around for maybe 5 to 6 days, and you could see the maturity and how it's continued even over the course of a 9-day break. They're hungry, and so I'm excited to get to some football.
Did you have any pre-existing relationships with Elijah or Ron, the two guys that were hired on the offensive side of the ball?
You know, I didn't. I had not. Obviously, their reputations precede them, though. I've worked with and for people who have been around, at least one of them.
Steve, and we'll go Ryan in the back. Can you kind of give what you see as your priorities right now with the defense as far as what you want to see in spring, what you want to get done?
Absolutely. So first and foremost, I think the spring is about establishing a firm identity about who you are, right? In terms of your fundamentals, your techniques, and us playing together as a unit with our hair absolutely on fire. We need to do a better job of establishing some mayhem, right? So creating tackles for lost plays, sacks, ball disruptions. So we're putting a high emphasis on that. Playing smart. So being better in situations, whether it's third down, a red zone execution, normal down execution, backed out coming up, just having the situational awareness to apply certain fundamentals and techniques based on calls that we're in and playing together as a unit. And I certainly want us to play with relentless effort. That's the price of admission. That's a style of play, not necessarily schematic. And then ultimately at the end, man, I want us to make sure that we play together, as a unit. Relentlessly competing in everything that we're doing, finishing when the opportunity presents itself, closing it out like we need to, having situational awareness and playing together in a way that it's very tangible and it's visible. We need to run by people to the ball. We need to play on the other side of the line of scrimmage. We need to disrupt the ball carrier, quarterback, receivers, running backs, tight ends, whoever has the football. We need to do that as a defense. Change the game.
Back in the room to Ryan.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm hanging in. Good to see you. Hey, Coach,
Likewise.
just talk to me a little bit about, I asked Coach Pry this, the energy level. I mean, what's it kind of been like so far? I know we haven't gotten to, the spring game
Sure.
yet, but what's it been like so far seeing these guys back, having the ability to kind of mold a newer group of guys that, you have some new faces on the team as well.
Yeah.
So what's that been like?
It's been fun, man. What I'll say to you is that it's very visible when guys are hungry and when they're eager to go out and change the narrative about who they are, both as individuals, as players, but also as a unit. You talk about different segments on the defense and also as a team. It's apparent, and I think the work speaks to it, the action speaks to it, as not just a bunch of talk. You look at some of the guys, how their bodies have transformed since the end of the season. You look at guys and how they're approaching things in the classroom, compared to last semester to this semester. You can see the change. You can see the maturation. I'm excited to see it unfold and manifest on the football field. Yep.
Morning.
Morning.
With the coaching staff on the defensive side remaining the same and not having to go through what the offensive side did, how much is that continuity transitioning over here to the spring, knowing that play calling is the same, terminology is the same, and those guys have had a full phase one with that group?
Yeah, so I think continuity certainly is a positive, right? For us as a staff, because we know how to work with one another, we're not learning as much as it relates to the interpersonal relationships and within the room, within the defensive staff room, right? We know each other's strengths, we know each other's weaknesses, and we're looking to grow in all those areas. But also with that, you also have the ability and the capacity to challenge one another in productive ways. You also find ways to grow as a staff because you've been together for you. You know exactly, okay, what areas do we need to harness and focus on this offseason so that we can take incrementally, but also like exponentially where we can take our defense to where it needs to go if we're able to focus on these particular areas. So there's good because we know each other, and there's also a sense of familiarity, particularly for us and the players, but there's also a sense of, okay, how do we get better? And how do we get to a better place so that we can be better teachers, better coaches, mentors, so that our players can be their best versions of themselves?
On an unrelated note, how well did Chamari's showing at the combine really help in terms of when you're going to recruit, saying, look at this player we developed and look at how he's shining here on this stage, and a pitch to come to Virginia Tech?
Yeah, Chamari went out there and he was Chamari. Didn't surprise any of us. You can watch the combine all day long, but if you cut on the football tape, you know exactly who Chamari Connor is. And so we've just been honest about that. And so we need more people like him.
When you were talking about identity,
Sure.
Is that kind of have to start at square one every year, or is that something that you feel like you kind of have a regular identity you want, or does it depend on what kind of players that you have that given season?
Sure. So I'll answer that two ways. I think on one side of the coin, it's certainly a line of identity that you want to permeate throughout the program for the entirety of the time, right? But also I think each year it has a new group. So you want to recruit to having the right people in the program who are going to ascribe and buy into what we believe is our values or that we espouse in order for us to be successful. But each group, you have to teach and you have to set those expectations and continue to set them and continue to communicate them in a way that it can be reached to them and they can receive it and apply it. And so each year is different to that point, but certainly you want there to be an established identity about who we are, what we represent, particularly at this university, within this program, about who this defense is. So hope that answers your question.
What do you hope to see from the McDonald twins this spring?
To not take a backseat to anybody. They're young, but they work like older guys. They study the game like older guys. They are mature away from the football field like you would expect a junior or senior to be. And so the ceiling is extremely high for both of them. And so when you ask that question, I look and I hope to see them continue to be themselves. You want to see them grow in terms of the productivity and the consistency of that, but I think that's coming. We look at them and we forget how young they are. I mean, they look like really mature bodies, mature young men, and they are. They're young in the program, but man, I'm excited for them to continue to grow.
Anything on Zoom?
Please raise your hands if you have a question for Coach Marve. I'm not seeing anything, Travis. You're good.
All right. Anything else in the room for Coach? Coach Marve, thank you.
Thank y'all. Y'all have a good day, okay?